participated in the blueprints. You've been a coach now, really
Yes.
solid user over the last few years. So let's talk about how you got
Yeah.
introduced to CoachNow because I really like that story because Martin Chuck is a great friend of ours here. So I think that's a kind of a cool
Yeah. Yeah.
story.
Yeah. I visited Martin Chuck in 2019. I started to be a golf teacher 2008, so I was almost 10 years a golf coach already, and I've visited other famous golf coaches before. But Martin Chuck was, a great experience. I've been there for 2 weeks and made the 3-day camp as a participant just to
Oh wow.
improve my own game
Yeah.
and also to see it from the other side. I think as a golf teacher, sometimes you forget how difficult it is to do new movements. And if you're on the other side, I feel it's a great way to reconnect with your students again. You can feel that much better what it feels like to implement a change. And yeah, that was a great experience. And that was my first touch point with CoachNow. Even when I was in Germany and registered for that course, I got an invite in CoachNow where I think there was something sitting in my space
Yeah.
already, which Martin Chuck put there. And arriving there, every group session was recorded and every individual lesson was recorded and put into CoachNow. I felt that was super simple because good, they are great coaches there. There are, I think it was 5 coaches with 13 participants, and every coach had his own microphone and everything attached to him. So when he was speaking, the audio was perfect. So
Nice.
they are professionals, yeah. And it was very easy for them to put great content into CoachNow for every participant, yeah. So that was pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean Martin
And
is as
yeah,
legit as they come. He's a great entrepreneur, probably a better entrepreneur than he is even a coach. He's just a really good businessman. So you got
yeah.
involved from the learner's perspective, which I think is such a great kind of humble
Yes.
approach as well. That you invested your own time and energy and money and all of it to go all the way to see
hmm
Martin, be the
Yeah.
learner for your own game, but also to take back from a business perspective how you can improve your business. So you saw
Yeah.
Coach Now, you jumped on board as a coach, and now flash forward to where we are today. You participated in all the blueprint education courses. You've been putting things into play, and we got connected in more of this kind of meaningful way because of our referral partner program. And you're taking it
Yeah,
incredibly
exactly.
seriously, which is so great to see. You talk us through how your business is evolving because you've got the coaching of athletes and then you've got the coaching of coaches. I just think you're really onto something special
Yeah,
here.
yeah. Yeah, when I started using CoachNow, like the basic feature I used was the video recaps. I think that's also one of the most powerful features CoachNow has for the um, normal coach. Yeah, it's so powerful. I've been using that for like every session I have been doing since 2019, and it's so easy when I have a new student. It just takes me 2 minutes to put in the email, make his account, and record the video in the last 5 minutes of our session. And he or she, they are always amazed by, oh, that's so easy. And then when they come home, they enter their space and see the video. Ah, that's such an unique selling point in marketing terms, I feel, compared to all the other coaches that don't use CoachNow. And yeah, that was pretty much the start of how I used CoachNow. And then I found out about the groups and how to manage group courses inside of CoachNow. I really tried out a lot until I found out about the Real Partner Program and thought a lot of, especially older coaches, they have problems with all the apps and all that
Yeah.
digital stuff, especially in Germany. I think it's the same in every country probably.
Yeah, absolutely.
A lot of coaches are 50 plus and they are getting, sure, more used to apps and everything, but to use it on a commercial basis, I think it's different to just recreational use of apps. When you want to really sell it, you have to really understand it. And that's why I thought putting all that content into German is very powerful for my German colleagues in Germany and Switzerland and Austria.
Mm-hmm.
All three countries speak German. So it's a, I think, wide audience where German coaches can benefit from all that stuff in German.
Yeah.
That's why I did this CoachNow basics group to introduce people to CoachNow. Yeah.
I thought Andy and I think it's, and Jerem as well. I mean, I think it's so great. And that's exactly the type of thing we were looking for when we launched this program more officially, is to find, again, entrepreneurial minded coaches in different sports or different regions that really believed that, hey, this is something I'm using. I can tell other people about it and it'll benefit everyone involved. It's pretty dang simple. You've taken it a step
Yeah,
further, which I think is really great, considering that you see a gap in the market to educate coaches around coaching technology. And I think,
definitely.
yeah,
Yeah.
because so regardless of age, and age is a part of it for sure, but there's the casual user of applications and technology, as you mentioned, versus someone
Mm-hmm.
probably like you and definitely like me, where if I'm using something, I know basically all the ins and outs of it, and I
Mm-hmm.
find a lot of power in whatever tools I use, and because of that, I end up being a really excited endorser of those tools. And there is a lot of financial upside for somebody that can curate the information, as I said in level 2, to one of our coaches,
Yeah.
just like,
Yeah.
hey, curation is a big deal, because coaches or anybody doesn't know where to look, and they don't know what's true and what's not. Or so having positive recommendations from people that you trust is a big deal. In your world out there in Germany amongst the golf coaches, how many coaches are you seeing that aren't using technology at all to deliver any sort of education to their students? Is it still quite a bit, or are people hesitant to use technology in that way?
You mean golf coaches using apps similar to CoachNow?
Yeah, or even sending an email of a video.
I think 95% don't do anything.
Yeah, and it's still so shocking to me.
That's my
I
opinion.
think you're right.
Not sure, but I think
Yeah,
95% don't do anything.
because I've been a member.
Maybe they ask how was the tournament or something, maybe something like this,
Yes.
because yeah, they want to know how their students are doing, but nothing like a recap or a training plan or a video. No,
Yeah, and it drives me
don't think so.
absolutely crazy, because I go to the driving range occasionally
Yeah,
to hit balls. I see all the teachers, and I'll do air quotes because I don't believe they're real teachers or coaches. They're not good at their job, but they give all this complicated advice, which might be the appropriate technical advice, but they do nothing to record the advice or get the feedback from the athlete. They don't send a swing or a drill or anything. I heard one coach say to a young woman when they've finished up their lesson, well, we've changed everything and we'll see you next week. No videos, no nothing.
good luck with that.
Exactly. So she's
Good luck with that on the golf course.
she's
Yeah.
scrambling to write down notes. She hits her first shot when he walks away really well, and then she proceeds to shank 3 or 4 more, and then she walks over to her bag with her head down, looking depressed, picks up her bag and leaves. And that's
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
the relationship, and I get so
Yeah,
frustrated, and I'm sure you do too when you see that.
I don't know why most of the coaches don't put in more effort. I think maybe in the last decades it was too easy to earn a lot of money making golf instruction.
Yeah.
There, it was like, especially in Germany, there was in the last, let's say, 30 decades, there were not a lot of German golf teachers, and most of them, most of the teachers came from the British Isles, like in the 80s, 90s, when golf really kickstarted in Germany, and they had a really, I would say, easy life as a golf coach because everybody trusted them a lot
Yeah.
because they came from Great Britain. They know everything, and it was not so important. I don't want to criticize anybody here, but it was not super important that it was the best golf instruction in the world, because all the members came to this golf coach anyway.
Yeah.
So they made a lot of money, and they are used to giving this type of instruction for the last 10, 20 years. Yeah, but I think this approach won't make it in the next decades. So you
I
have to
agree. Yeah.
somehow step up the level of instruction somehow. Yeah.
Yeah, the way that I've talked about it for 10 years, and I'll talk about it probably this way for another 20 years, is that if you don't have an application on someone's phone representing your coaching relationship with them, you will lose them
Mm-hmm.
to somebody that does. Now, there's still plenty of
Yeah.
coaches out there. And again, I have such a hard time even calling someone a coach that doesn't want to stay in contact or build a relationship. I don't even think that's a coach. I think that's a teacher at best. And I know that
Mm-hmm.
doesn't always translate across different languages, but generally it's like if you're going to work with someone,
I know what you mean. Yeah.
yeah, and there's just a difference, right, between I do lessons and I see you next time, or I care about you and I want to stay
Mm-hmm.
in touch with you and I want you to improve. There's a difference there. And the ones that focus on that difference are going to be the ones that generate the most income and have the most meaningful business. The other ones will lose because you and people like you will take everyone from them because that's just how it's going to be.
Yeah, I'm convinced
Yeah, I'm convinced as well.
that it's gonna be like that. Yeah.
And
Yeah. Yeah.
it is interesting to hear you say that about British coaches in Germany because I know because we're an international company. Obviously, we're in 140 countries, I
Mm-hmm.
think, or maybe more. And I
Mm-hmm.
have seen, yeah, the British or the American coach, the native English speaker, let's say, going to somewhere
Yeah.
like Japan or China,
Mm-hmm.
and then immediately being viewed as an expert, even if they're
Yes.
terrible. So it's like, man,
Mm-hmm.
if you really want to have a
Yeah.
big business in certain sports, just move and you'll do great just because you speak English and you don't look like everyone. And it sounds
Yeah.
like that. I'm surprised to
I
hear
think
that's the same case, or it was the same case in Germany too.
yes. Yes. It definitely was. Yeah. Right now, it's, I would say, 50-50 British and German golf teachers. Maybe even more German golf teachers
Yeah.
now.
So where
Yeah. Most of the
I'm sorry to cut you off. I'm just
yeah.
want to ask you, where do you see your business evolving? Right, if you're looking at the next 5 years of your life, what kind of objectives do
Mm-hmm.
you have? And yeah, just curious where you see yourself going.
Yeah. Yeah, the last 5 years, I had my own golf school in a pretty small golf club, and this golf club is gonna close at the end of the year,
Mm.
so I have to look for a new golf course.
Mm-hmm.
So there's definitely something's gonna change,
Yeah.
and as I want to stay in this area here because of fiance and family, and I will probably not have the possibility to have my own golf school because all the golf schools are like occupied, and
Mm.
I have 2 golf schools that I can start working next year. So I'm not sure how that really changes my business, because the last 5 years I could do anything I wanted,
Right.
and now I have to like adapt with the other coaches. But I'm positive that I can also bring in my own ideas and be beneficial for that golf school. So looking forward to the next, let's say, 5 or 10 years is definitely to have my own golf school again.
Yeah.
Maybe in a golf club here in this area, or who knows what happens in 10 years. Yeah, but to have my own golf school with maybe 2 assistants, that would be a good goal for 10 years maybe. Yeah.
Yeah. So I guess one a piece of unsolicited advice, but since you've participated in all the blueprint stuff and we're
Mm-hmm.
buddies, I would just want to share this. So as you're looking at landing this new role, you technically will
Mm-hmm.
be an employee, but the right facility will see you as much more than that. They will see you as an entrepreneur. They'll see you as someone that can bring value, help them grow their revenue beyond what they're doing now versus Here's just one more person to service a junior program. There's so much more, as
Yeah.
you know, there's so much more untapped things that a golf school can be, whether it be in person or whether it be different types of programming, whether it be remote programming, whether it be digital products. Some of that you may want to bring to the golf school, while others you may want to keep for yourself and look at the Lukas Exner brand and look at
Hmm.
growing your remote coaching business as an example, so that you're not tied to a particular facility for all of your income. So I'm kind of I know
Yeah,
you've
true.
thought about this, you're working towards this in some capacity. But let's maybe talk a little bit about that. Let's talk about, there's the day-to-day golf school stuff with somebody, but then there's the Lukas
Hmm.
Exner brand. What kind of evolution have you had from taking the blueprints, and what kind of things do you think you might be putting into play that feed just you and hedge the risk overall of working for someone?
Yeah, I created that, how do you call it? Green,
The
the
evergreen.
the product that
Mm-hmm.
evergreen.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I created that in the last winter. It's just a basic course where you can in your room,
Mm-hmm.
and I recorded some videos and put it on CoachNow and sold it through an e-commerce platform.
Mm-hmm.
And in the first winter, there was, yeah, it was pretty successful. It was pretty cool. And this winter, I want to just do it again
Mm-hmm.
and do some minor adjustments to it. So I probably would have never done that without your blueprints,
Yeah.
just to get the kickstart to do something like that. That's definitely something that I thank Coach Now and you for that. Yeah.
Well, I'm happy to hear that, and you you have that spirit, and I couldn't encourage you more just to keep tapping into that, to create as many streams of revenue as you can,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
not be, victim is not the right word, because that's not the right word, but not have your income reliant 100% on other people. So whether it be the facility that just closed down, you had a nice thing, but you can't control the golf course
Hmm.
being open or not,
Exactly.
right? The place you're managing during the winter, you can't control that business as much as you would maybe want. The same thing will be with a future golf school that might be temporary. And I just had a
Hmm.
conversation with a coach in Canada about an hour before this, where it was a similar thing. He's taken the blueprints. He went from working over 40 hours a week and still making pretty good money. He was making over six figures in dollars, but now he's working 20 hours a week and making mid six figures or more. And while that's something to celebrate, right? 20 hours a week and making that kind of money, that's something to celebrate. It's
Hmm.
not the it's not the end point, because he doesn't have enough things in the background to protect him from that job ending or him getting hurt or sick or things like that. It's just really important that
Okay.
he,
That's his only source of
and
income.
it would be similar to you in the sense, like, if you
Hmm.
broke your leg and you can't go to the golf academy, then where's all your money going? Right? We need to make sure that anybody listening to this takes advantage of their expertise and tries to sell it, not in like every possible way, but ways that resonate with you and your audience, so that you have less of a risky business, right?
Yeah. Yeah. What I found was very difficult selling evergreen products was I sold a lot of courses to my
Mm-hmm.
that I already had,
Mm-hmm.
and they thought, okay, it's a cool idea. Lucas made this course, and yeah, that's cool. But I made some Facebook and Instagram advertisements, but I almost sold nothing to
Yeah.
somebody I didn't know.
Yeah. It's difficult.
That's
Yeah.
probably a very, very difficult to sell golf content to somebody that you don't know because YouTube is everywhere.
Yeah.
I think why should people pay for golf content if they don't have a connection to that golf teacher? You know what I
Oh,
mean?
absolutely. So what we talk about in level 2 a lot, and I just re-recorded all of it, and it's going to be launching later this week for everybody in the pro membership to go through it
Hmm.
again, or go through it for the first time. I guess that the way that I would kind of position this for you and anybody listening to this as a coach is, yes, if they don't know you, it's going to be really difficult to convert a completely cold person into a customer.
Hmm.
So if you do nothing else, the
yeah.
most important thing is to create compelling lead magnets to collect email addresses. So give them free things to get their email. Then you drip content on them that has value, some strategies. They get to know you, they're more comfortable with you.
Mm,
That's your 5 to 7 exposures. Then you make an
yeah,
offer
yeah.
for this new thing that takes them to the next level. Now, that offer shouldn't likely be only evergreen products because, to your point, those are tricky to create. There's not a lot of interaction. People might not see the immediate value, and you can't charge very much. So a purely evergreen product might
Mhm.
be $49 US, around there, and it's a detailed
Yeah.
ebook or a bunch of different videos that people can consume on their own time. So that's like the end goal, I think, because and when I say end goal, meaning you've had a lot of repetitions and you've learned how to do all this stuff, and then you bottle up that magic. But all the steps in between, it's probably flows a little bit more like this, right? It's you coach in person like you normally do. You do remote coaching or what we would call connected coaching for those existing clients. You
Yes.
then bring
Mhm.
on people you've never met before and you do remote coaching with them. So it's very high touch, probably a little more high ticket, meaning it costs a little more too. And then you move into
Mhm.
kind of a combination of pre recorded content plus a little bit of coaching. And that's in a community or in a one to one. Then you move into maybe a 30 days to better putting course, and you can drip that out via scheduled posts inside of CoachNow and give a little bit of
Mhm.
interaction as a part of that 30 days to better something. And then eventually you land on an evergreen product that you can just have going in the background all the time that's very low ticket. And it might be a way to collect email addresses because it's like, hey, I'm Lucas. I've got a product that's $9.99. You can do it anytime you want. And I guarantee you it's going to do this, this, and this. You collect their email, they pay you $9.99. It's a win for everybody. And then you have the opportunity to upsell them to other things that you've created. So I think for
Mhm.
you, you've had touches of success, but you recognize, yeah, it's not
Yeah.
super duper easy. So to bring this all back
No, no.
around, then this will be like the main thing that I preach in level 2. It's just like create a lead magnet and collect emails. Put out content, get someone's email. If you get good at that, the rest of it you'll figure out as you go. And that's generally how I see it, at least.
So when you put out the lead magnet, it's supposed to go to cold
Yeah.
traffic?
Yeah. So the idea is that
Yeah.
you post something on Twitter, Instagram,
Mhm.
TikTok, whatever it might be. So I'll use this as a good example. Andrew Banner, who I
Mhm.
interviewed a couple months ago, he's got, I think, 25,000 followers on Instagram and probably more than that on TikTok, but he focuses only on those two channels. He has one
Mhm.
call to
Yeah.
action: get your free swing audit. So he's posting content around technical pieces of golf. He's got his own little spin on it, but he has one call to action: get your free swing audit. So someone goes on his landing page, they book a call with him. So he's investing a lot of energy into this. I would maybe do it a little bit more streamlined, but he's booking a 30-minute
Mhm.
discovery call with a bunch of random people all over the world. And then they,
For free.
for free. Yep. Yep.
Wow.
And so he does this for free, but then his close rate is very, very high because he's giving a lot of value up front. And then he's selling a 3-month virtual or remote coaching program, all delivered through CoachNow. And it's $1,500 or more. And so that's how he's built his funnel. His whole business is remote. He doesn't meet with anybody in person anymore. He runs this 6-figure business all through CoachNow, collects payments through Stripe. He has a website that's just very simple, but very good. What I would probably do if I were in his shoes,
Sorry.
nah, you're all right. What I would probably
Mhm.
do is offer that swing audit, but probably not do the 30-minute call, have people fill out a survey. I would create a space for them. They would upload their swing. I would then analyze it. But the only thing that I'm advocating for is that I've now collected this person's email address. I've now delivered a little bit of value to them. And my whole goal is to upsell them to whatever product I actually want to get them involved in.
Mm-hmm. And when you got the email, then you would drip free content on a regular basis 5 or 6 times until you make the offer?
Yeah, so you can make this as complicated or as simple as you want. So we lay this out in level 2, but effectively what you would do is you'd put them into your email system, whether that be through Squarespace or MailChimp or anything.
Yeah.
And then they would get a welcome email saying, hey, welcome to the club, the Lukas Exner Golf Club, whatever you wanted to call it. And then they would get that. And then from there, you'd have a video or a blog or a quick little note that you maybe send out a couple times a month or more, depending on what your ability is to do that. You could even invite them into a free group within CoachNow, so you even have a more intimate relationship with them. So you've moved them from email into your coaching platform that you're using anyway. Now you've got a little bit of a community. You've got your own really hyper-focused social media kind of experience with these folks. And then you can offer
inside CoachNow,
inside of a group. And then from there, you can say, hey, I've got one spot for remote coaching open. If you're interested, let me know. Then you have a little bit of discovery call.
Market it through that group.
Market it in the group, market it in emails. So you kind of, how I'm saying this is that you can do a lot of the marketing via email. You can pull people gently into CoachNow, deliver some value, then upsell them to something else. So it doesn't, right out of the gates, it doesn't need to be, here's my evergreen product that I spent hours and hours making, and it's $27. So my encouragement to everyone, and I've said this in the blueprint, effectively is you launch a live product and you kind of work your way through these different versions, and then eventually you get yourself something that is just sitting over on the side and making sales for you. But most coaches are not going to land there from just day one wanting that. But you've already had a little bit of success, so you've jumped the gap a little bit. And maybe now it's time to go back and really focus on just collecting leads. Get as many emails as you can.
Yeah.
That makes sense, yeah?
Yeah, because conversion rates are not as high as you would hope they are, right?
They're shockingly low, but that's an industry number, meaning you're looking at everybody, all the different businesses that are selling through email. 0.5% to 1% is considered really good. I know of people, though, that have email lists of only 4,000 to 5,000 people because a lot of people unsubscribe. And I'll say it this way. That particular person I'm referencing, I won't reference them by name, but they don't care if people unsubscribe because they want to make as many offers as they can. And they're making anywhere from $50,000 to $100,000 a month selling these different coaching packages. So if you're not interested, get off the list. I don't care. But he's going to email you probably every single day with an offer. So that's the very aggressive side. And he's not a sports coach, to be clear. He's more of like an online entrepreneur coach. So it gets a little bit fuzzy because it's more of like, I'll teach you how to make money by making money. It's not the same value that you're delivering to an athlete. So he's able to make a little more, charge a little more, because everyone just gets into this whole, I want to make money online, and I'll just tell other people how to make money online. We don't actually sell anything meaningful. So that's why I don't want to mention him by name. But the recipe is there, to my point. You can have a relatively small list, and as long as you're making compelling offers and you've got the right people on that list, you can have a meaningful business. And for you and any other coach, it might be, boy, if I could make an extra $2,000 a month, $5,000 a month on top of my normal coaching, that can be very meaningful for most people.
Sure. Yeah. Sure. Yep. Definitely. Yep.
So knowing that,
definitely with CoachNow, you have the power to do it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Just have to make up your mind and get it going. Yeah.
Yeah. You got to get it going.
Take action.
Yeah. So I think you're asking the right questions. So You've been coaching for a long time, putting this back on your court. What do you think from where you were pre-Martin Chuck, let's say, to where you are today? What do you think has maybe been some of the biggest lessons that you would want to pass on to other coaches, knowing kind of how your career has transformed and your information and your education has kind of transformed?
I would say the biggest difference is, like, when I started teaching, I wanted to serve the customer what he or she wants, and now I serve them what I think is best for them, and I don't care what they want.
I like
I
that.
think that's the biggest difference.
So let's dive a little deeper into that. So somebody comes to you, their aspiration, because they're a golfer, is, well, let's start there. When you're marketing yourself, what's the ideal customer for you? Who's coming to you more often? What type of golfer?
I would say my ideal customer is somebody that wants to really improve and is interested in long-term development, and not somebody that is looking for a quick fix.
Yeah.
I actually stopped promoting single lessons this year. Sometimes I do it because, for example, an older couple, they want to meet me every 6 weeks and they want to pay a higher price for that, and I say, okay, let's do it. But I don't ever promote
Yeah.
it to my customers, and I say, okay, I have that 3-month program. If you want to do that, that's the best way to do it. And I'm not selling single lessons.
That makes me so happy.
I think also that is a big milestone in my business. Yeah.
Yeah, and as you know, that's like
It
everything I
hasn't
talk
really
about.
paid off like tremendously, but I like that approach much better. Yeah.
Yeah, and it will pay off. It will. You're going to continue to refine the packages, the offers, the pricing.
Yeah.
You'll refine how much time you're actually spending in person versus remotely. You'll continue to leverage pre-existing content that, while it feels like, oh, I've recorded this a long time ago, it provides a lot of value for the end customer, and it didn't take you any time, which is kind of, so
Yeah.
you'll continue to refine it. So you've moved away from lessons, which obviously is like my biggest goal in life, for all coaches to stop doing that. And then
Yeah.
you're marketing to these long-term development folks, which is, again, another thing that I love. That's really how you deliver coaching. And somebody comes to you and they have a particular goal. That's why they've reached out to you. But your clarification on, it's not really about what you want. It's what I know that you need, let's say. That's what I'm hearing from you, is that they come with a want and you give them more clarity on what they actually need. Is that right?
Yes, definitely. Yeah. For example, if they think they have to change their swing because of, I don't know why, then I tell them, okay, no, your swing is a perfect fade all the time. We're working on your short game, for example.
Absolutely.
And then they come in the next lesson and say, oh, I hate my swing so much. Then I find some positive things about his or her swing and say, no, your swing is great. We're going to work on that. And before, I probably would have gone this way. Oh, okay, come on, let's have a look at your swing. Maybe we can change something. I don't do that anymore. So just concentrating on the stuff that really matters. Yeah.
I love that. And how, remind me, how long have you been taking that approach? I can't recall if that's something very new to you.
I guess that's something developing from the start as I was starting teaching. I'm not sure if it really was only CoachNow that kickstarted that. But I think if you really make up your mind, it's not about just making a golf swing pretty, what most people are looking in a golf lesson. Yeah. They come and they, oh, I've got this chicken wing. I have to get rid of this chicken wing. And now I say, and yeah, what's the problem with your chicken wing? Yeah. What does it do? And what's the reason for that? And people don't care. They say, I don't know. My friend says I have a chicken wing while I'm swinging. I need to get rid of this. So I don't like this approach because it's just not result orientated at all. Yeah.
Exactly, especially if it's my friend tells me, like, that's the worst. My friend who also is
No.
terrible tells me that I should do this, right?
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
but I think this hasn't necessarily been mentioned in one of these conversations. I made a video literally about it on YouTube about wants versus needs in the fact of a business,
Mhm.
right? You lean into what people want, you get them into the business, and then you work towards helping them understand what they truly need. So
Mhm.
form over function, right? We're looking for function versus just making it look pretty. That's something that Cameron McCormick, who coaches Jordan Spieth and a lot of other great players around the world, always talks about. So most of these people, it sounds like they're coming to you, and deep down, the result that they're looking for is better scoring. Is that generally where it lands? Is that they want to score better?
That would be my ideal customer,
Yeah.
yes.
So they're looking to score better. So you have a wide range of tactics to help them do that. Yes, it might be swing
Mhm.
mechanics. So they can't hit the ball in the fairway. So they got to figure that out.
Probably it's
Yeah.
a little bit of that, yeah.
Could be
Mhm.
they have a nice repeatable swing, but their strategy is horrendous. Their short game is terrible. The list goes on and on.
So many parts.
But
Yeah.
you're
So many
detailing
parts.
to them, hey, don't listen to your friend. Don't listen to YouTube. This is what you need. And I think there's so much power in that. And I'll say this, there's a polarizing marketing opportunity always when you take this kind of aggressive stance. And not everyone will be excited about it, but the right customers will. So I'll expand on this. What I mean is, so as you think about your remote coaching or your digital products, your brand outside of the academy that you'll be working for, it would be
Mhm.
really leaning into, hey, golfers, you don't even know what you need. You've got no clue. And if your goal is to lower scores, you have no idea. But we'll create a customized plan to make sure you fully understand what you need. And you can even share that same silly story of, trust me, it's not the chicken wing that your friend tells you that you need to fix. Kind of into that stuff because every
Mhm.
golfer has friends that tell them a bunch of crap. Like I watch my dad's
Yes.
friends play and they're all giving each other advice and they all shoot in the 90s or high 80s. And it's like, you guys have no idea what you're doing. Uh, so I think I just wanted to jump off on that because I think as you look towards growing your business in this next evolution, you've landed in it. I think there's just a lot to play off of that will get the right people's attention if you are kind of aggressive with the way that you come across. Does that make sense?
Yeah. And it's definitely something that has to do with confidence as well. When you start as a teacher, you don't have the confidence to or at least I did not have the confidence to tell people, no, I don't want to do that with you. I'm gonna do that.
Yeah.
You're more like, what do you want to practice today? Okay, we can do that. So I think that's a normal approach when you start as a teacher because you just want to serve your customer.
Yeah.
But if you're or when your confidence is rising and you just have much more clue about what you're doing, you get to a point where you also tell your customer, no, we're not going to do this today. We're going to do this. You take the lead.
Yes.
That's something that has a lot to do with confidence, in my opinion.
I agree. And I think there is an important part for the athlete to advocate for what they want, to share their history of what they've done so far. Similar to going to a doctor, you're the one that
Mhm.
might have, and this is an example for me that's very close to home. I had an ear infection for many months and it was just awful. I was
Mhm.
off balance and so much pain. It was just terrible. And I saw many doctors, most of which kept giving me the same prescription that wasn't helping. So I find another doctor and I say, hey, I've done all this. It isn't working. Can you please do something else? Unfortunately, that doctor said, well, where did you get your medical license? And I said, I just am in a lot of pain and I've
What's the
seen
matter,
lots of
Carl?
doctors. Yeah. Then they kicked me out of the office. It was not a good doctor, right? So I'm giving you the example of the extreme
Okay.
example of they have so much confidence they don't even want to
Okay.
deal with me, right? But
I
but
see.
then I went to a
Yeah,
different
yeah.
doctor, explained everything, and then they said, "Oh, well, this is what you need." Because my only want was to just not be in pain. And then they clearly illustrated the need. They were the expert. They gave me what I needed, which was great. And then I felt better. In the coaching example, you're going to have a lot of people that come to you and say, my goal is to shoot lower scores. I've tried this. I've tried this. I've tried this. My last coach said this. And that's important information for a coach to have because you don't want to go down a path that has already been explored that isn't working. But then to your point, you have to have the confidence to say, well, actually, the coach that was trying you with you before that did this is actually the way that I would recommend too. And this is what we're doing, but we're going to stick with it long enough, or this is actually the path that
Mm.
we're going to go down. And I bring up the doctor example because if you go to the dentist or any other doctor, most of them are going to have a lot of confidence to say, this is what it is, let's do it. And I think as coaches, we have to stand in that same level of confidence of like, no, you're the expert. You've invested a lot of time in your craft and you know exactly what you're doing. So don't let the athlete control the direction.
Yeah. Yeah. It's not easy when you start, but when you are more experienced in coaching, then you have to take that stance. Definitely. Yeah.
If you're looking back at your career, do you think this shift of the wants versus needs was 2 or 3 years in, 5 years in? Do you think if someone had told you this advice earlier on that you might have been able to adopt it faster? What sense?
Hmm. I guess it took 10 years for me,
Mm.
to be honest,
Mm-hmm.
from start to where I'm now. Yeah.
And do you think if you gave
And
that
if
advice to
somebody would,
the early Lukas that, hey, be confident in what you're doing, do you think Lukas would have taken it, the early Lukas, or no?
maybe a little bit quicker, I think,
Mm-hmm.
but I think it's a learning curve.
Okay.
You cannot tell somebody you have to be confident.
Yeah.
It's just by having a lot of successful memories or successful attempts, you feel more confident in the way you're teaching,
Mm-hmm.
and therefore you're more willing to give your customers no,
Yeah.
we're not doing this way.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's a learning curve that took 10 years for me.
Yeah. I'm just, as you're saying, I'm kind of reflecting on my coaching career because I coached full time in the world of golf for about 10 years as well before founding Edufy, which became CoachNow.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to just reflect on how long it took me to be very focused on saying no to everyone. And I think,
Yeah, that's very difficult.
yeah, I think I might have adopted it a little bit earlier because of my background. So I'll share my background and see if this resonates with you. So I played
Mm-hmm.
golf at a very high level. I played professionally, made a little bit of money, had injuries that took me out,
Okay.
but I had a level of confidence around playing and scoring that I think gave me
Yeah.
maybe more confidence than a lot of people because a lot of people that are teaching aren't really accomplished players in their relative sport. They never made it very
Mm-hmm.
high.
Yeah, makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah. And then the folks that were trying to see me, a lot of them were of that same mindset. They wanted to play competitively, whether it be in their club or juniors and things like that. So I think it was a little easier to say no. And
And they had a lot of respect to you because you played professional before.
yeah, so
Mm-hmm.
there was this built-in respect. And I think I had the course record at the course that I was
Yes.
coaching at. So that helped. And then
Yeah,
my
yeah.
parents, though, also have run businesses ever since I was a kid. So I saw the entrepreneur, restaurant owner that
Oh, yeah.
eventually just has to say no to the
Mm-hmm.
customer. The customer is not always right, even in a pizza
Yeah,
restaurant.
yeah,
Yeah. So I'm just kind of reflecting.
yeah,
I
yeah.
think I was able to jump on board a little quicker because of those things. But to your point, yeah, 5, 10 years it might take for a coach to really stand up and say, this is how it ought to be done. I think that makes sense for you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
So when you look at the coaches that you're coaching with, and without mentioning names or actually like direct people, but I'm just kind of curious where you see your advantage. Is it your adoption of technology? Is it something else? Like, where do you think your distinct advantage is as you move forward in your career?
I think right now it's definitely that long-term development approach that a lot of people like, because I think nobody really thinks a quick fix lesson will help really.
If you really get down to it,
So, yes, nobody that understands a little bit about sports will say this quick fix lesson, that was a great help, and now I'm playing better for the next part of the season. It's not going to work. Yeah. So a lot of people that saw my approach of that 3-month minimum program with different requirements and different things included, I think they liked that a lot, and that was a big milestone that I took that approach. I think that's a big advantage for me, and also CoachNow. Yeah, it's a big advantage for me because people always tell me, "Oh, it's so cool that I can see all the videos that we had a couple of months ago. I remembered that driver lesson, but I didn't really remembered what we were doing, and I just clicked on the video and it said, hold her back, and then I started hitting good shots again." So easy, and it's no more time effort, which most coaches, I think, are afraid of when they use the technology, and after the lesson they have to record a video and put it online. It's not like that. It's just during the session, and the customer actually pays for it. So
man,
it's nothing you
spot
have to do
on.
for free, or nothing from your free time. Yeah.
That's exactly right. And I want to hit that one more time because that's so valuable what you said. Because this is what I always am preaching. You're doing it during the session, and you're doing as little
Yes.
as possible at the end of your day. If you're coaching just right, and this is my opinion, you're working with someone for probably 2 hours in that one section. You're not doing hours or 30 minutes. It's 2 hours. That way, you have plenty of time to interact, capture the right content, and it never feels rushed or out of place. And then for you as the coach, you don't need to go home and do anything anymore. Now, if
No.
you're going to see that athlete a month from then for your next in-person session, then as a part of their payment and plan, you're going to interact with them remotely, but on your schedule. It's not, oh man, I just coached for 8 hours. Now I need to go home and do 4 hours of admin emails and whatever else. It's horrible.
That would be horrible. Yeah.
We don't want that. And a lot of people
No,
do
it's not
that.
like that. Yeah.
So you've said this already, and I think it's worth saying again. Well, let's say it slightly differently, because I do have this curiosity. I believe, as you, that every session should have 1 or 2 recaps as a part of it. The recap from the coach, the recap directly from the athlete. Now, there's a lot of coaches that lean very heavily into analysis. And so when they look at CoachNow, we have analysis tools, we do. But some say, oh, well, you don't have this, this, and this. And my argument is always, well, does that, and that actually convey more information that's going to make this athlete better, and then they're going to pay you more money? And is it going to save you time? And usually the answer is no, it just looks cool. And I say, well, if it just looks cool, then
what are they
who
missing?
cares? So I'm curious how much you lean on the analysis part, how much you maybe lean on data like TrackMan or statistics. Maybe talk us through your entire technology suite to deliver these coaching programs. I think that would be helpful.
Yeah. Like a basic session always ends with a video recap where I probably draw some lines if we worked on something technical. But yeah, first of all, to show the difference, to show the change that we've done. But I think most importantly, I tell them, hey, if you practice by your own, just set up your smartphone in your bag or buy a tripod and record yourself. And you see how I draw that line. When you record yourself, have a look how your club is compared to that line. So the athlete has great feedback also when he or she practices on her own, on his own. So that's very powerful, I think, if the athlete uses CoachNow in their own practice and draws the line or that circle exactly the way that I did it in our last session, and he can check easily if he or she's on the right track.
Yeah, I think that's super important for sure. Putting the power in the athlete's hands, absolutely. And then are you leveraging for the better player TrackMan or other things, or are you staying away from those things?
I use FlightScope
Okay.
in my outdoor sessions.
And does that data end up inside of CoachNow? I would certainly hope it does, but that's kind of a leading question.
Sometimes. For example, if we were working on club head speed, sometimes maybe I just put in a note, club head speed on that date.
I see.
It was that. Or I take a picture from the iPad screen, from the numbers. For example, club path change was at the start of the session to the end of the session was like this. But I don't use like TrackMan reports or something like that. I don't do that.
Yeah, we have.
I create training plans, just PDFs.
Okay.
In my 3-month program. For example, I have 3 tiers, and the middle tier is every 2 weeks they get a training plan.
Cool.
So every 2 weeks I have a session with them, and then I have a training plan that summarizes what we've done in the session in a PDF, and also gives them either a putting or a chipping or a pitching drill that I explain in a video in CoachNow. So that's also pretty easy. It's all made up beforehand. So they get a short game drill every 2 weeks, and I put that in a PDF training plan and upload it on CoachNow. So that's a little bit extra time that I have to spend at home, but I think it's a good value for the people that want to make their practice effectively. And they know, okay, I do that drill on the driving range that I've done with Lukas, and I've got something on the putting green. Okay, pretty cool. I can score points, and I always tell them, hey, tell me how many points you scored. So they have to put it into CoachNow, how many points. I think that's pretty cool and a good motivation to keep on practicing, because maybe you scored 10 points on the day before, you want to score 11 on the day after. Just makes it a little bit more, is it enticing the right word, or motivation?
Well, it builds an accountability as well. I think I'll say this, there's not a whole lot of point to using CoachNow if you're not encouraging your athletes to use it also. It can help you stay organized for sure if they don't ever log in, and there's benefit to that. But the biggest benefit comes from the athletes taking accountability and practicing and documenting their own practice. Because if you look at it, not even from a development standpoint, from a business standpoint, the more they're interacting with their own game and you, even if it's passively, they're further invested and they're going to stay on with you as a customer. It's much more likely that they're not going to quit, right? So your accountability exercises, your gamification of certain practice things is like such a great thing to implement, and such good advice for other coaches to follow if they're not currently doing it. Can you?
And it's maybe 10 drills that I recorded on a trip to Florida.
Okay.
I just recorded 10 drills and put it into the CoachNow library and just put it in there.
That's good, man.
Took me like an afternoon.
That's great advice. And you're reusing those with every single person when it's appropriate.
Yeah. And I have 2 putting drills and 2 chipping drills. And I was asking myself, if I practice, I don't do 10 different putting drills. I have like 2 putting drills. I do them all the time. I don't use hundreds. And I think every coach can put their 2 best putting drills into CoachNow very easily.
Yeah, absolutely. And in some cases,
You don't need a lot of more.
no. And in
Yeah.
some cases, as a point of clarification, you could have handed the phone to one of your athletes while you're demonstrating the putting drill for them, and then you can reuse
Mhm.
that drill with everyone, right? You don't even need to stand in front of a tripod by yourself and demonstrate it. You can do either or.
Yeah.
But for a lot of coaches, the best they're ever going to explain a drill is when they're in front of someone explaining it, because it's more casual, more clear.
Mhm.
They get less nervous about being perfect, but they get the point across. So I think there's a lot of power in
Yeah,
that.
that's true. That's even no extra time needed
That's my point.
in your
No excuses.
example.
No
Yeah.
excuses, as I would
Yeah,
say.
yeah. That's true. That's true.
So as we get close to wrapping up, you've dropped so much good information, especially how you use CoachNow. I think there's going to
Yeah.
be so much stuff that other people can learn.
Thank you.
But I guess as we wrap up, what have we missed? Let's just say that. What have we missed that you think is important for you to share with me, for you to share with other coaches that would be listening to this, whether it be how to use CoachNow or whether it be marketing or business best practices, just anything you think that would be helpful for other people to know that maybe we haven't talked about yet.
Yep. Pretty much mentioned everything that I do with CoachNow. Yeah. The remote coaching, yeah, we haven't talked really about that, but it's something that I offer as my first tier in that
Yeah, let's talk
programs
about
that I
that.
offer.
Let's talk about your
And it's
tiers. I think that would be a great way to end on
yeah,
how you've tiered out your
yeah, yeah,
coaching offers. That'd be great.
yeah. I've got a basic package that's just online coaching. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
and you can book it by the month. There's no minimum requirement. You can just book it for 1 month, and you can send me one swing per week, and you get an answer per week.
Okay.
That's pretty much it. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly, yeah. I recorded some videos in that Florida trip called The Basics of Shots, like putting, chipping, bunker shots. And I put it in a group that's also included in that basic program.
Mm.
I just explain how I set up to a putt, how I set up to a pitch, because I see a lot of people always asking me, hey, Lukas, what was the ball position in chipping? And I think, okay, I can just record that video, put it in there, and nobody has to ask me 100 times about the ball position in
Yeah,
chipping.
totally.
Just click on that group, basics of basic shots. And that's something that I put in there as a, you would call it bundle
That's
probably
super
in
smart.
marketing terms,
Yeah.
just to make it a little bit more value. Yeah. And that's the basic tier. Then it's called the pro tier. It's the middle tier. I have 2 lessons per month, just 2 times 60 minutes. You can either do it 120 minutes
Mm-hmm.
or you can do it 2 times 60
Mm-hmm.
minutes. I found out, yeah, especially for people that are coming from longer distances, they book the 2-hour
Yeah.
sessions.
Yeah.
Makes more sense for them.
Totally.
But people that just live next door, they sometimes say, okay, 2 hours is too long for me. And I know your point. You're thinking 2-hour lessons is better, but yeah, maybe I have not developed in that
Well, I'll
direction
lean in.
so far.
I'll
Yeah,
lean into what you said earlier. I go hardcore on the
yeah,
wants versus needs. And so when someone says I only want an hour, I say, well, we can't accomplish what you need in 1 hour. And that also leans into my needs. I just think it's better for me as the person delivering it, that I'd rather spend 2 hours with you than
mm-hmm.
1. Not to say
Yeah,
that
yeah,
that's what you have to do. It's your business, your style. It's just the recommendation. I like, though, that you have the option and you've
yeah, yeah.
architected it in such that it's a total of 120 minutes of coaching per month. But you're
Exactly.
not
Yeah.
doing a half an hour. It's either 60 minutes or 120
No,
minutes in
no,
total. And then eventually, if you
exactly.
wanted to, you could just say, well, I only do 120 minutes, take it or leave it. But that's obviously completely
Yeah,
up to
yeah.
you.
I think maybe a little bit depends on the on the skill level, I think, especially for beginners, when I probably, or for example, teach them on the driving range for 60 minutes, I don't think they have the concentration to do another chipping lesson.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I think in this way, it's better to have that 60-minute lesson on the first week of April, and then in the third week of April, we do that chipping
Sure.
session.
Yep.
That's something.
Well, and it totally
I
depends
found
on
was
your clientele.
good.
If you're working with 7-year-olds,
Yeah.
I mean, you can't do anything for 2 hours with a
Yes,
7-year-old.
exactly.
For me, I was always working
That's
with
true. Yeah.
people that had more high performance aspirations. That was my niche. And so 2 hours, they could
Yeah.
easily be focused. Plus, we weren't hitting balls for the entire
Easily.
time. It was a mixture of
Yeah,
strategy
that
and
makes sense
stretching.
for
And
elite players.
yeah. So it just depends on your audience and how you like to do it. Absolutely.
Yeah. And then the plan was also included in that middle tier. And just talking about price, I think, is also important, or other coaches maybe want to know. Like the basic program, just online coaching, is 69 euros per month,
Okay.
and you can cancel whenever you want. Like the middle tier program, it's 179 per month, but it's a 3-month minimum requirement. And then the third and biggest tier is like 240 minutes of in-person coaching per month and a 9-hole round of golf with me, but also with 2 other players. So I play with 3 students. I do those playing lessons every week, so they can book in whenever they want. And that's 349 euros per month. Exactly. Yeah.
Okay.
Those are the 3 tiers that I put up. And yeah, most of my customers use the middle tier. That's most of the times, I think, why you create 3 tiers, that most customers end up in the middle, right?
That's exactly right.
And
yeah, so right now we have 3 tiers.
Biggest tier.
We have the free, which basically gets you nothing, and then plus and pro.
Yes.
And we'll keep stacking on pro because we want pro to be the de facto choice. But hey, if you don't want to do it, there's always plus. So as I hear those prices, not knowing your market, I personally think there's room to raise those prices, but curious your thoughts. Because I think a 69 package for the remote once a week, pretty good for sure. I think that's something that's worth your effort. Only going up to the 179, I believe, or 169 price for the in-person time and everything else. I'm curious if you could break the 200 threshold with that, and then potentially break the 400 threshold for the next. Do you feel like there might be room for a price increase in there?
Yes, definitely. Okay. Yeah. Maybe if I put something additional in there, it's definitely not a big deal, I think. Do you think?
I think even what you're offering now, where
extra
there's
value on it,
I honestly think 120 minutes remote connection to you and a training plan that is unique to them once a month, even, like, to me, I see coaches charging for things like that, and even just myself, because I coach golfers occasionally still when I meet somebody that's kind of good fit for me. I'm more in the $400 US a month, $1,200 3-month commitment, right? So, and I see that globally working for a lot of people, somewhere more like the $300 to $400 a month range for what you're offering in your second tier. And then the third tier, where there's on-course time and everything else, that could be $500 to $600 a month if they're getting an on-course time with you, plus individualized coaching, plus. Like, $1,500 is not a lot of money for a club level golfer to maybe spend on a 3-month plan.
What do you think is your rate of hour in your area?
Yeah, so
what do you think? What do golf coaches charge for an hour?
It's a good question, so I'll answer it in 2 different ways. Anybody that's using CoachNow as you are, as effectively as you are, I would encourage to never think about an hourly rate, ever. because that's not what you're.
Yeah. Just curious
Yeah.
about calculation, you know?
But I would say that the reason I'm saying that is that you're selling results, not units of time. So everybody in my area that charges by the hour
That's
is not
true.
actually selling results. They're selling time. So here's a better example. I go on some random golf coach's website. How are they going to market to me? They're going to say book a 1 hour lesson, a 2 hour lesson, or a package of 10 for the price of 8. They're not actually selling me any result. They're not saying in 10 hours I'm going to be dropping scores or hitting it further or whatever. So they're not selling me anything that I care about. They're just selling me time. Whereas if you're saying, hey, in 3 months, on average, I see my clients drop 10 strokes in 3 months. And you say, sometimes you can get these results in even 1 month. And it's $1,000 a month, right? Now you've got me buying into the result. So far too often, coaches lean into the time, whereas for me as the athlete, I want to get better as fast as I possibly can. So if you can help me get there and I'm just paying a little more and I'm spending a little bit more concentrated time with you, I'll do it. Whereas the average rate in our area, just to answer your question more directly, probably between $70 to $150 an hour. But all of these coaches are on the range 9 to 10 hours a day, and they're basically broke. They're burnt out. They're alcoholics. They have skin cancer. Their relationships are terrible. They hate They hate coaching because
they don't play golf
at all.
Yeah.
So why I lean so hard into that clarification is that a real business, a real service provider, a real coach is selling results. The time is a part of the way to get there. So to be more clear is that you're selling the 3-month 10 strokes training plan. And as a part of delivering the 3-month drop 10 strokes training plan, yes, you get 2 hours of in person. That's a mechanic. It's an aspect of the plan. It's not what you're selling. And this is where every coach that is burning out is failing themselves, because all they're doing is selling units of time.
So even in calculating the price of a package, you wouldn't put a price tag on the hourly rate.
I don't think it really,
you know what I mean?
I don't think it really leans in, unless you're going to say, well, normally I charge $700 an hour. Like, I think the only way to put a price on the hourly is if it's ridiculously high. That way it anchors against the monthly training. And this is what I've told coaches time and time again. Don't say, hey, normally my hourly rate is $70 an hour. You're going to get 2 hours of coaching. That's $140. And now you're going to get like a couple other things and it's $160. It's like,
yeah, that was my approach.
That's not that great.
Pretty much,
if you were to put a value to the hourly rate, you would say, well, normally I charge $500 an hour. But I don't think that works for you. I think long-term development's the way. These are the things that I do. And it's the same way I anchor in any of the private coaching that I do, is to say, to make it worth my time, and this is when I consult other coaches, when I consult startups or things like that, to make it worth my time, I'd have to charge you like $1,500 an hour. That's why I don't charge by the hour, because you can't pay it, and I feel stupid for charging it. So let's come up with a plan that actually makes sense for everyone. So in my case, it would be, we're going to work together for a month. I'm going to give you a heavily reduced price for the month. We're going to do these few actions, and then I'm going to record all of it, and I'm going to be able to share it with our entire audience. That's where my leverage comes in. So for me, I never do one-to-one coaching without a recording of it that I can then push it out there, because it benefits the business at large, right? So you could say, I'll reduce my price if I can video everything and use this as a case study, because now it's a marketing collateral. But as you're building out your tiers, which you've done such a nice job of, you don't want to anchor it into an hourly rate, because then people start doing the math and they start questioning their decisions.
Exactly,
You just want to say, here's the results, and here's all the ways we're going to get there, plus all the bonuses, plus all the great things. And in 3 months, you're going to be a completely different golfer than you were today. Well, of course you'd pay me $500 a month for that. And if you pay for it all up front, I'll only charge you $1,400.
Yeah.
Right?
Maybe for the transition from selling lessons by the hour to that package system, maybe it was necessary to do it that way, but now it is not anymore.
No, and I'll
correct?
say it this way. For your existing clientele that you were previously having pay by the hour, they know what you've charged. So your marketing to them has to be more of like, hey, you're going to get way more value for your money than you would have before.
Exactly.
Right? But for a completely new person that doesn't know you at all, you lead with a higher price and you lead with, this is how I do it. And you don't break it down by the hour, because then you would have to say, well, a training plan, that takes me 30 minutes to make. So that's a value of this. Commenting in your space takes me 5 minutes. You don't want to start charging like a lawyer where you're charging for every minute of your time, which is just so terrible for me.
I think the big difference is really to concentrate on selling the result. I haven't been doing that.
And it's for any coach listening to this.
I just sold a package that had a good value and had a price tag, but selling the result, I think that's the next step for me, I guess.
Yeah, and I think it's the same that we're always trying to refine as well. It's not like, hey, sign up for CoachNow because it's cool technology. What's the result that you're going to get out of it? You're going to save time and hopefully you're going to make more money. And as a result, you're also going to be able to coach how and where you want. You can be in a different country coaching somebody else. You could be coaching people in person. You can coach however you want, make more money, and do it in less time. That's every decision we make leans into those three things. Those are the results that we're aiming to get you. We're not saying, hey, draw a bunch of lines on videos. Isn't that cool? Like, who cares? That doesn't matter to me. It doesn't matter to you. It shouldn't matter to you. So
just the way to do it.
Yeah, that's the mechanism.
Or just a mechanism.
For you, you don't want to lead in to the features, the mechanisms. You want to lead into the ultimate benefit, the ultimate goal. Anybody that's coming to see you is going to leave with lower scores, and you can start making promises based on your 10 plus years of coaching. Say, hey, for people that work with me for 3 months in this program are showing an average drop score rate of this, handicap in reduction of this. That's the marketing, right? And you've been doing it long enough to where you can stand by some of these things. And who wouldn't pay you $1,500 to drop their score by 10 strokes?
Golfers are great,
right?
Everybody would do that.
So I'm saying you could probably charge more if that was the result. And you can, and maybe kind of wrap up here, the things that I would say is that you can also add in risk reversals. So you say, hey, if you don't drop your strokes by at least 5 after this 3-month period, I'll give you your money back. Now, you put in a little bit of fine print. You must practice, you must show up, you must actively post and CoachNow, right? And then if they do all the requirements, they're going to get better. The only way they're not is if they get hurt and they can't participate, or they just don't participate at all. Then you give them the money back. And that's what we do as well. We say, hey, if you don't like CoachNow and you actually are using it, we'll give you a refund for an entire year. But if you never make a post, you never do anything, that's not our fault. That's you not even trying. And I think as coaches, if you sell results, you'll get results. And if you add in some sort of risk reducing mechanism in there, it's a no-brainer. And if you collect money up front,
I just wanted to say, it's a no-brainer.
And if you collect money up front at a reduced rate versus if they paid monthly, now you as a coach can start forecasting your revenue. And I'll kind of leave it at this. Nicole Fugers, who I did an interview with couple weeks ago.
I heard that.
Yes. So her biggest aha moment in her business was going into yearly coaching plans. That's all she sells.
Yeah.
Yearly coaching plans, that's it. You can pay by the month. but you have to be in the program for at least 6 months. How easy is that?
What I don't understand about the longer you take part in a program, must there not be a bigger discount for the customer the longer he stays, and therefore reduce your earning per hour? You know my
I
concern?
understand. So what I would say is that for Nicole, or for you, let's say you did a yearly coaching program, it would be, if you pay by the month, it's $500 a month. If you pay by the year, effectively it would be $450 a month. So, and you collect that cash up front, and then you have the opportunity to deliver on that sale the entire year, and then your only goal is to retain that customer. Now, what you can do,
but you give a discount.
You give a discount for the upfront payment, just like we do at CoachNow. If you pay by the month, it's more expensive than the year. That's how. There's a reason we all do that. It's because we want annual payments so that we can start investing in teammates and hardware and upgrades. It's just easy for us to forecast the revenue. So we collect all the cash, and then we do what's called amortization for our accounting, where we split it out into monthly payments. But we have the cash up front to where we can spend against it. And that's what I want for all coaches, to have that opportunity, at least, where most of us are collecting by the hour, which is the worst, let alone collecting by the month or the year, which is a lot better business. Because if you said, hey, Spencer, in 4 months from now, you came back and said, hey, I just sold 20 $10,000 a year coaching programs. And you came back and you had $200,000 in your pocket, and you're like, good to go. Let's just deliver on this. So I might hire somebody to help me do it. There's coaches that are doing that and doing really well, and they have a wait list because all the money's taken care of up front, and they just coach. Now, to answer your question a little bit on the reduction side of it, when they renew, you can renew them at the existing price that they've paid, while sharing, you're locked in at this price. As I continue to raise my rates because of inflation, because I'm just a more in-demand coach, you're going to be at this price because you're a legacy customer. That's exactly what we have done at CoachNow. We have honored, we've had people paying us for 6 years now, paying the exact same price. And we never raised it on them. But we've raised our price 5 times. But what have we done? We introduced a brand new tier, CoachNow Pro, and this is kind of secret sauce here, just shedding some light on it from a business perspective, saying you can stay at your existing plan, get all the great features that you've been accustomed to, or upgrade to CoachNow Pro, and we're going to give you the same type of discount, but off of a higher priced item, and you're going to be locked in at that as well. So you're still getting a better deal than everyone, but you're now in the new package. So coaches can follow the same thing, right? You're in my Pro package, you're locked in. But if you want to join my Elite package, which includes being on the course and this, that, and the other, it normally retails at $2,000 for the package. But because you're a great customer of mine, we're friends, and you're awesome, I'll give it to you for $1,500. That make sense? So you can move people up and down with the pricing. But my point being, with all the stuff that we're talking about, is that I think you could charge more on what you're doing. And I would just encourage anybody that's listening to this not get hung up on what you're charging per hour, because it'll limit your ability to actually create the right training package to sell someone.
Yeah, sell the result. Yeah, that's the shift.
Yeah, because if I'm overweight and you told me in 3 months with this level of exercise and this program I'm going to lose 20 pounds, versus come see me for 10 sessions. What? I want to lose, like, I would much rather sign up for the thing that's telling me I'm going to lose 20 pounds. I don't care how you get me there. Are you going to do it in person? Am I going to just watch videos? I don't care.
Just remote, I'm
fine.
Yeah.
But if you lean into always selling the hours, then it's just not really that compelling. And then you're stuck basing everything off of your hourly rate, which is very limiting because people do the math. And if you never let them do the math, then you're fine.
Yeah, I see. Yeah, that's a big shift for most of the coaches, I guess. Yeah, just moving away from charging by the hour and then selling the result. Yeah.
Yeah. So the first thing that you've done really well is that you've moved away from kind of these quick fix lessons. You've moved into long-term programming.
Yeah.
Now it's just evolving that and having, to your point, as you said a while ago, having confidence to do it, to stand up and say, this is how I do it. And if someone goes, well, Lukas, I don't know. I mean, can I just see you for an hour? And you go, yeah, it's $500 for the hour. Sure. Let's do it.
Yeah.
Just
I
straight
also
face.
raised the hourly price a lot when I implemented the packages because I did want to make it unattractive to book an hour. I made it very expensive and said, okay, yeah, you can do it, but I wouldn't
Exactly.
recommend it to you. Yeah.
So then if you do get stuck doing the hour because Mr. and Mrs. So-and-so only want that, then you just charge a super crazy premium. So it's at least worth the time doing it.
Yeah, exactly.
So unfortunately, we need to wrap this up. We've been on for an hour and a half. You're fun to talk to and easy to talk to.
Yeah.
I hope that everybody listening to this stays with us towards the end here, and we'll do our best to edit it where we can get some of this stuff out there. But Lukas, we are really, really happy to have you on the team, to be working with us on the referral partner program. Super stoked that you've been able to evolve your business, and I'm looking forward to seeing what comes next for you. And I know that anybody listening to this will get a ton of value. So just thanks for being here, and thanks for being so open.
I'm looking also. Thank you. I'm also looking forward to the future.
All right.
With CoachNow and you.
Beautiful. Well, again, congrats and thank you for being here. And we'll click off here. So I'm just going to go ahead and stop.